Crunchyroll and good news once again. Very strange. This happened twice in the same month. But before I get ahead of myself, let's talk about what's going on here. Crunchyroll CEO confirms AI won't be used in the making of new anime, which this information came from this article saying anime fans celebrate as Crunchyroll reverses awful AI plan. And this article got its information from Forbes, which is inside Crunchyroll's latest plans to expand the anime universe, which as you can see, this article came out on the 8th, so it's about a week old of an article, but now a lot more people are starting to, catch wind of this, interview with the CEO and what they said, and people are starting to make articles on it, and obviously it's making its way to social media. So let's get right all into this. So the original article has a lot more going on in it besides, let's say, AI and stuff. They talk about, the direction, collaboration, what Crunchyroll wants to do, where they want to expand, etc., and I'll get all into that in a moment. But I guess one of the big reasons why you're probably clicking on this video is definitely the stuff affiliated with AI, which, this section of the article from Forbes actually covers. And more or less, what this basically is the CEO, and FYI, this is the CEO of Crunchyroll, the CEO of Crunchyroll kind of walking back their statement from 2024. For those that are kind of not in the know and unaware of what's going on here, basically in 2024, the CEO of Crunchyroll admitted that they wanted to explore options with AI, either through maybe creating or helping create anime with AI, but also using AI to generate subtitles, machine learning, so to speak. And obviously, that's a very controversial area. There's a lot of arguments and discussion about that, because obviously, from what we have seen from the last few years, we have seen the misuse of localization and translations or bad translations. I talked about this even recently when it came to ReZero Season 3, and just how Crunchyroll did a really bad job with a lot of translations. And it was very clear that, they could be better. And so there's been a lot of advocacy for both sides, like, for instance, on the AI spectrum, that people want maybe the translators or localizers to be replaced by AI. Then you have those that say they don't want that because, obviously, there is translators with good intentions that aren't bad or not trying to do a bad thing. You got, different sides of the argument. But the point I'm getting at is that Crunchyroll acknowledged that they wanted to use AI in 2024, and they were experimenting with it. But with the interview that came out literally a week ago, the CEO seems to have backtracked their statement on AI in general, and more or less, if you go to this segment of the article to kind of just summarize the whole thing, they're basically saying they don't want to use AI. The only way they want to use AI is more or less to help with the algorithm or discoverability of anime. For example, when you, let's say, are on Crunchyroll's platform or using one of their products, and you, let's say, search for Soul Leveling, okay, or any popular anime of the season, they will start recommending you maybe on their site or different ads or whatever, stuff that's very similar to Soul Leveling. And so in this case, that's more or less what they acknowledged in this little segment of the interview, that if they're going to use AI, they're going to use it in the background for you to be able to discover new stuff. But they're not going to want to use it for hands-on things, for instance, like creating anime or doing subtitles for their shows. That's more or less what this entire segment admits. So, like I said, this is a complete 180 from what the CEO mentioned back in 2024, which gets into this article which anime fans are currently celebrating. Now, I don't know necessarily if this is a full-blown celebration from anime fans, because I already elaborated on that segment that there is definitely a group of anime fans that want to see, let's say, localizers replaced by AI. I know there is. I'm just gonna be completely honest. I would be lying if I didn't mention that. There is definitely a big group, and obviously, there is a group that's heavily against AI, for obvious reasons. I mean, there is a recent anime that came out as of late called, Twin Hinahima, or whatever. I did a video on it discussing the first episode, and it's a fully, animated AI-generated anime, 95% created by AI. And so, obviously, AI is here to stay. It's a realm that is being explored by companies for cost-saving measures and stuff like that. But, obviously, there is definitely anime fans that are celebrating Crunchyroll backing up from that, but also I don't think it is full celebration. I feel like there's a lot of people are probably going to be upset about this news because of some of the damages that Crunchyroll has done with its translations or localization. But getting into the main point, though, of what the article tries to highlight, besides obviously the AI stuff, because obviously I titled this video quote-unquote good news, there is some interesting news here that this Forbes article covers, which not a lot of people are talking about, because they're mainly focusing either on the tariffs or they're focusing on the AI segment. But Crunchyroll basically straight up acknowledges that they want to explore animating more series that isn't necessarily from Japan. A good example of this is Soul Leveling. Soul Leveling, for those that are unaware, is from Korea, okay? And what they basically meant here is that they want to explore creating series and turning them into anime from other countries. For instance, let's say it's a story written by, like, somewhere in Europe, or, it's written in Korea. They want to explore these creators that write these stories and bring them to a Japanese studio to be able to turn them into an anime. That's more or less kind of like what this summary is right here, what it tries to talk about. And, they even talk about the beginning after the end, which... not a good example. I'm going to be completely blunt with just how bad that's going. That's not a good way to really start off another series that is, trying to be like the next Soul Leveling. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that this article more or less is Crunchyroll saying that they want to do more collaborations, more initiatives. They want to expand in the merchandise and figures. They want to expand in the manga segment of, like, the industry, which is something I've talked about in a negative and positive light. And let's explain that one. I said this about maybe a year and a half ago, probably the first time I mentioned it, but there's going to come a time to where either A, Crunchyroll/Sony is going to try to buy Viz Media, or they're going to form their own manga subscription service tied into Crunchyroll, and it seems like that more or less is happening, but sooner or later, it's going to cause competition, and I could definitely see maybe Crunchyroll encroaching upon Viz Media's territory and devouring Viz Media into its brand. I could definitely see that, just judging by how Sony has been and Crunchyroll has been with the market. They eventually are going to try their hands at grabbing a hold of Viz Media. It's bound to happen eventually. One day it will. They will at least try. And so in this case, I think that it's bad and good news, but they more or less want to say they want a site that will have everything to offer. Merchandise, anime, manga, light novels, everything you could possibly ever ask for the culture, which in general is kind of good news for the consumer if you're wanting to find something, but obviously there's negativities with this when it comes to monopolies and censorship and all that type of stuff. But like I said, there is some good and bad within this article that tries to elaborate on what they're doing. So I will say it's a win for Crunchyroll in general. I wouldn't say it's like a massive big W, but I will say them walking back some of the things with AI is good news. Seeing that they're not wanting to, like, let's say, generate AI content anime, I think that's fine. One thing I would like to see them walk back, and I hope it is acknowledged soon, is that the CEO, I believe the CEO, it was the vice CEO or whatever, like the right hand, was saying that they wanted to explore making more anime kind of cater to TikTok generation. I do hope that is walked back, because I think making anime for TikTok generation is not good. It's not. It's going to do a lot of damage to the industry. So I think in general, I hope that one is walked back. That would be an amazing W if they walk that back. But I doubt it. I mean, I really doubt it. But anyways, yeah, I wanted to talk about this because a lot of people were linking me to this. They were saying, hey, Chibi, did you see this and all that? How do you feel about it? I'm more or less on the fence. I mean, I've talked about this already in many videos, so I don't want to say the exact same thing over and over again when it comes to AI. But in general, I do think that AI is the future. As much as people want to press back against it, it's going to happen sooner or later. It's just, that's the truth. AI is evolving way too much. You go back 2 years ago, AI looks just completely different from what it is right now. And, as much as people want to hate it or whatever, or just throw it in the trash can, it's not going to disappear. It's only going to improve, and it's going to become more and more scary as time goes on. And this gets into the main thing that I want to talk about. This is a little bit of a Debbie Downer, but I will say one thing that people don't want to hear. But the thing is that, at the end of the day, yes, the CEO of Crunchyroll seems to want to put morals and stuff on the surface and say, like, they want to do right by, let's say, voice actors, animators, etc. But at the end of the day, Crunchyroll's a company, Sony's a company, and at the end of the day, companies will try anything to make more money, save money, and spend less, so to speak. And so, if there comes a time to where AI is obviously inherently better than, let's say, voice actors or translators, etc., I will bet you that Crunchyroll will instantly dive into that to be able to save money and make more money. Like, why would you pay someone? Like, this is not what I just want to state the truth, okay? Like, why would a company want to pay somebody when they can have an AI do it for free? Okay? Like, that's the truth. That is the cold, harsh truth, okay? People don't want to hear it, but that's true. And so a company can be soulless or whatever they want to do, but that's what they can do, because obviously if it proves that the quality of the AI is a lot better than a person, or comparable to a degree, then they're going to do it. They will, to be able to save money. So yeah, I just want to talk about this. There was a lot more to this article than obviously the AI. I know this video kind of focused heavily on it, but I wanted to mention this article to people because there was obviously incentive for Crunchyroll doing new like stuff. For instance, trying to focus heavily on you know, new projects and stuff from different countries instead of just, let's say, Japan or even Korea, but different countries as well. So it could lead to some fascinating stories and, you know, stuff coming to become an anime that we never thought was possible in the past. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching the video. I just wanted to bring, you know, this, you know, conversation to the surface for people to be aware of these articles and stuff. I saw a lot of conversation around it kind of generating. But, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed my content, you know, please subscribe, leave a like on the video if you want more of this type of content to appear on the channel. And, yeah, love you guys. Chibi out.